Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the stream. My name is Sincerely George, and this morning we will be looking at what is going on with the faster payments. Oh, goodness. With the Fed faster payments announcement that happened yesterday. So, without further ado, let's get right to the show. I know we have a lot of stuff to cover before things really get heated up. I want to really focus in on the conversation today. There's a couple of sound bites that I took from yesterday's faster payments meeting that was held by the Fed in Kansas City. And so I want to focus in on that. But to start our day, I want to highlight one of the people in the XRP community that does amazing stuff for us. And these are people that there's so many people in this great community, and this is one that is constantly bringing us great news, great information drops, and that is XRP, Bank XRP. And, I'm highlighting Bank XRP because they are one of the people that take the time to ask the difficult questions. One of the things that happened in yesterday's faster payments task force, meeting, and it wasn't a task force meeting. It was actually them talking about what they're going to be doing, how they're going to be making payments faster. Was they announced some breaking news, and so we're going to talk about that with in combination with the soundbite for all the people who did not get a chance to watch the meeting. But Bank XRP asked a question: Can you tell us which companies will be working on the development of Fed Now? And that's the name that they were giving it. So the Fed Payments Improvement put out a tweet yesterday saying, just announced the Federal Reserve banks are developing a new interbank 24 by 7, 365 real time gross clearing and settlement service to support faster payments in the United States. Learn more about the planned FedNow service and the Federal Reserve notice. So I will click on that, open it up in case we want that. But Bank XRP obviously had watched the meeting live, because pretty much right after they released this, they Bank XRP said, "Can you tell us what companies will be working on the development of FedNow?" So for some people, and this also was, we'll look at that really quickly. So I'm going to try and keep this introductory part really short. But this tweet by 2Y1, leads to the Faster Payment Task Force roster. And as many of you know, Ryan Gazone, I don't say these names often, is one of the steering council leads for this group. So if you scroll through this list, you see all of the different banks and organizations that have been involved in the Faster Payments Task Force, and there are so many, right? And it's bank, 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 like all these different names, all of their names on the right hand side of exactly who they are. But a lot of organizations that are really concerned about banking and faster payments. So I'm just sort of scrolling through it, and you see that you would the names of these banks, right? But First Bank Trust, First Bethany Bank and Trust, First Citizens National Bank, First Fidelity Bank, Frost Bank. Like, you've got banks on here that I have never ever heard of. And why is that? It's because a lot of these banks are small regional banks. We have these large banks that we see the commercials, during major events, Citibank, Bank of America, US Bank. These are mega banks, okay? They take a big piece of the pie. But you've got small regional banks and credit unions around the nation that have a much smaller operating budget to work with. And M&T Bank, right? Like, where are these places? Maine State Treasurer's Office is somebody else that was included. But if we go down to the R's, um, oh, I just saw this, but Wipro. So Wipro is a company that works a lot with bank. Wipro and Cognizant are two companies that provide ample development and software development, technical analysis, and architecture services for large organizations, and they work considerably a lot within bank. University Bank is up here. But if we scroll back to our, oh, look at that, Target. Corporation. Interesting, eh? So we scroll back to the R's, and here in bright blue, we see Ryan Zagone here from Ripple. And the reason it's in blue, and watch out, here we go, we're doing a scroll, right? 9 pages of different participants, but elected steering committee members are identified with blue bold text. All right. So if that isn't a clue right there that Ripple is involved and is playing a leading role in what's going on with the Fed's faster payment solution, I don't know what is, right? And Ryan Zagone has been involved for a considerable amount of time. This isn't his first rodeo working with them. I think he's been involved since the early days. And this document that I'm looking at right now was last updated in 2017. So we've been there. We've been working on this with the Fed for a considerable amount of time. Um, and it takes a long time when you're talking about a megacorp, and I call them megacorps, but any business, so Target, Walmart, Best Buy would fall into this, Apple, Google, you know who I'm talking about, Bank of America. They are, in my opinion, megacorps. These are the companies that have so many staff involved that it takes a long time for them to make a decision. It takes a long time for things to flow through the political, the company's political, um, hierarchy to get approval. It takes a long time for them to allocate money to something and drive it forward. Also, when they're thinking about things to drive forward, their reputation is at risk. So if something fails in the marketplace, that is 10 times worse, if not 100 times worse, than if it fails in a beta test. It is to their advantage to make sure that a rollout goes slowly and well. Okay. So this is our topic for today. We're going to go to some sound bites from the meeting that happened yesterday because I sort of plugged into a couple of things that I think are really key for our discussion. So before we go there, let me go over to the chat. Life is a flower, girl. I am so happy you are here. Welcome. You are going to be learning about money today. This is a new person who I have found. I've been learning more about content creating, and she is an amazing creator who is really trying to grow to the projects. Wow, both of you guys, I'm so impressed that you guys are up early morning and here with me. SW, so great to have you here this morning. Our first XRP diehard like me. Yasmin, awesome to have you here. Gaming Crypto, good morning. Good morning. Lionel, good morning. I know this is something that you really care about as well. Amy Amore, awesome to have you here. Anthony Jackson, wonderful to have you here. I'm sure more people will come into the chat in a little bit. To some of my new friends who are here who might not understand what I'm talking about, XRP is a digital asset that was created by a company called Ripple. Ripple is a company that is working globally to try and help nation states, right? So whether that's the United States, Cuba, not Cuba, we're not, let me take Cuba out of there, but the United States, Mexico, African states working with Marja Loop and the Bill Gates Foundation, the European Union. They're working to try and help and solidify regulation that will enable these different nation states and companies within those nation states, like Western Union, to move money faster. If anybody has ever tried to move money from one place to another, you know that it comes with high fees, maybe $10 fee to send $150, right? So that's too much. It takes days to get there. And XRP Ripple, XRP is a digital asset that Ripple uses to make money move in seconds. So that's why everybody in this chat is really excited. Progress has been moving really slow, and that is why we are plugging into the US Fed's meeting yesterday about faster payments. So let me show that. So what do you mean Ripple didn't create XRP? Okay, well, Lionel, I will be right back in a second because actually Ripple, the company, didn't create XRP. It was actually created as something else before. I think it was OneCoin, but it was labeled Ripple, and when it was finally ramped up and all of the tokens were created, it was actually Ripple Labs that the founders of Ripple Labs that had created it and gifted that creation to Ripple. That's my understanding. That is from earlier readings. So I don't want to go into that debate here, but I am very willing to talk about that because if I'm wrong in my understanding, I need to be corrected. So, Leonel, I will take that offline with you because if I'm wrong, I need to get it right. And I know that you are often right. So, good morning, RTB. Good morning, LW. Good morning, Chino. So let's get straight to this presentation here. I'm going to be playing the sound off of my computer, so I hope it sounds good. This is an important key because a lot of the chatter out there is like, woohoo, it's Ripple, it's Ripple, it's Ripple. And this is where it comes from. So let's play it.
And the Federal Reserve will need to provide a safe and efficient real-time interbank clearing and settlement service. We're proud of our strong record of cooperating with and supporting private sector services while fostering competition for public benefit. We have provided vital support to the sole private sector provider of real-time settlement for faster payment.
All right, did you guys hear that? We have provided support to the sole private sector provider, right? So the sole private sector provider. So if anybody knows, I did research about the Faster Payments Task Force earlier, and you can't hear it. Dang it! Oh my goodness, this so sucks. Okay, that I thought you could hear it. Okay, I wonder if no, because if I push it through my earbuds, then oh man, meh. I heard it before on my video. You couldn't hear it because it wasn't loud enough, or you just can't hear it, Help me with that. All right, but anyways, what she just finished saying and the soundbite that I was trying to hone in on there, I am really upset right now. I'm honestly genuinely upset. This ruins my morning. We are old. Okay, you're old, but could you hear what I just played? What the Fed is doing is providing support for a sole one, meaning one, private sector service provider to make this faster payments solution possible. Okay. Um, yes, RTV is here. Don't worry. um, so, for me, the fact that they keep saying the sole private sector provider is really key. I think that, people are asking, okay, who is this? And I was really frustrated when I got to the end. And the first question is, I would be really upset if I didn't ask, are you concerned about what's up with the inverted, yield curve and, the economy? And I'm like, that's not what we're talking about here, people. We are talking about faster payments. Get off the stage with your silly questions. Ask them who this sole person is. Who is the sole company they will be working with? But they didn't announce it. But yesterday, somebody was saying, "Oh, why aren't you implementing, the implementing an additional service into the Ripple network?" And they're like, "We're really busy with getting RippleNet partners signed up." So this announcement and the coupling of that response from Burla is just like, yeah, they're busy. There's only, I think, 10,000 different banks in the United States that they have to try and work with. So if all of those need to come in online, whether it be that they're using they're straight up using XRapid or XCurrent, they have to ramp them up. They have to provide training and information to those people, and that would take a lot of effort. And as everybody knows, Brad Garlinghouse is very hyper focused. This is what he did at Yahoo, and what he got a lot of backlash for was he's hyper focused on stay focused on what the real goals are and what you do well. Do not spread yourself too thin. And I think if they're seeing a surge in agreements, working with banks and payment providers, that's where your focus is going to be. That's where the bread and butter is. They join the RippleNet group of companies, and you expect service, right? If all of a sudden I sign up for for telephone service. And I'm like, okay, I get unlimited telephone service with this. And then all of a sudden they go and focus on their TV service and my telephone service goes down. Do you think you're keeping me as a customer? You're not so crazy at that point, like, honestly. So I think that everybody is hyper focused on the fact that it is Ripple. I'm really excited and interested in hearing when the Fed says that who it is, but we can speculate, and this is definitely wrapped up in speculation. um so Anthony Jackson says, I think they are talking about the clearinghouse, which is basically the top banks. But okay, true, right? We have Zilly, which is a solution that I use, and I think it's a great solution. I love it. It's instant. I have direct deposit in one bank, and I will Zilly my funds over to the account where I do more of my online and credit card purchases, keeping that bank account at near zero and not necessarily having to use credit. So Zilly is definitely a solution, and in this presentation, she talks about it. There are solutions on market. There are solutions in the market that at the customer level are real time. I send from one bank to another bank. I log into one app, make the send, log into the other bank, and it shows as being there, right? Depending on the bank that I use, I have a couple of accounts at a couple different banks, right? But depending on the account that I use, sometimes it shows as processing for a couple of hours, whereas other ones it just shows as fully landed. This has been deposited into your account. The fact is that behind the scenes, those rails aren't there. And I agree with you. She's talking about, the organization of the financial system here in the United States is not just the Fed and the banks. But, I haven't heard in regards to the presentations that were made, and let's go there for a second. And I was here this morning. I was actually here. Right? So if you go out to their site, and I think, like, yeah, they've totally missed the 2020 guidelines. But if you go here, need to figure out um, where it is. Faster payments, task force proposals. Right? The proposals that were put out proposed? No, but a lot of the proposals that were put out were just willy-nilly and not very effective. And Ryan Zagone was not elected onto the steering committee of the council at the very beginning. That wasn't a position that we held. It was after this had been going on for some years. I believe you know, that document says 2017, but we really heard wind of it in 2018, early 2018. I'm going to have to catch my facts on that. And Lionel says we need SEC clarification still on XRP. I completely agree. And building out the rails does not automatically mitigate the need for regulatory clarity on XRP. It is a digital asset that can be used. Nonetheless, in combination with what we have with MoneyGram, right? The partnership with MoneyGram, you don't have a need for the banks to hold XRP. If they plug in, and that's where I think that the solution that's been put out by Ripple is ingenious, because you have people that are able to get in at whatever their comfort level is, right? So you're an XRapid member, automatic, or a RippleNet member. Then you have XRapid, XCurrent, and XVIA. So depending on your size and your budget, you're able to plug in and utilize the system in the manner that is most effective for you. Now, XRapid is the most robust system, and automatically you're using XRP. XVIA allows you to plug into the system and through APIs. And the way that I envision XVIA working is really as some sort of user interface where you have you VPN, right, virtual private network, into a larger organization's network, create your transaction, and it goes out using the larger organization's system. But and then X current is based around a utilization of existing fiat currencies and has the capability to use XRapid. So I think their multi-layered approach, which will allow you to use them all, will become merged into being one, XVIA being the most interesting because it doesn't require all the infrastructure that a larger organization or bank would need. So LW, they don't want ACH. They said it in the announcement. Yeah, let's go on. How did I end up on that one? So I hope you guys could hear this because the last I did a video where I played a video clip and you guys could actually hear it a little bit. I think I have this maximally turned up, but I'm going to play this video clip really quickly.
Clearly, this is a big announcement for the payment system. Can you talk about the last time the Federal Reserve made such a significant decision related to the payment services it offers?
Yes, I can. I'm that old. Actually, it's been a while. The last time the Fed offered a new service, certainly of this magnitude, would have been some 40 years ago when we began to offer the Automated Clearinghouse Service, or ACH. At the time that the Fed engaged in that service, it was really evolving. And over the last 40 years, we have seen it become really a core part of our payment system.
Booyah! Right? So ACH, and this is one of the things that inspires me to remind people to look out over the long range, okay? Now, the Fed implemented ACH about 40 years ago, which really changed the face of being able to do, transactions between banks. But, you know, the initial rollout was probably very simplistic. Now, ACH and the features that are there have been increased, but they're not trying to like do mass changes every couple of years. We're going to do mass changes here. Let's go with another mass change. No, if it works, why break it? Why change it? Why should we touch it? Right? So the foundations of the system that is being rolled out right now for this faster payments network, once it's locked and loaded, the core set of features has to be there. And throughout this presentation, they talk about the traceability, real time, 27. How do they like to put it? I love the way they put it over here because they kept saying this over and over. 24/7, 365, send and receive payments, right? Which was pretty token. Um, Okay, thank goodness. Gosh, he's such a fuddly wuddly, that guy. Gets me thinking. You're so crazy, Lionel. Goodness, you're giving me a run for my money over here. Ah, all right. So, in regards to ACH is the primary way that we make payments. When you go and say, I want to pay my bills, and you're in your bank account, and it says, pay bills here, or you're actually, if you're on the vendor site and they say, okay, give us your checking information, and you give your routing and your bank account number, that is using ACH. Okay. And so, that system exists. It takes days. That's why they say, we'll send it on this day and it should post on this day, because when they take the money out of your account, it still needs to flow through the system. So, the bidding process will start now. Ripple will get some competition. RTV, thank you so much. You're leading us into our last part. And so I'm trying to do better meeting management. I want to end at 8:30. My life is a mess behind the scenes. My entire house studio is a mess right now. I have an exterminator coming. So I'm going to play this last clip. And, for everybody that's involved, I really recommend that you go out and listen to it. Yeah, there are some dry parts, but there's some key phrases that are dropped. And I want to click into this.
Large volumes of payments rapidly. In the months ahead, we intend to explore a variety of approaches to achieving a real-time retail payments infrastructure with nationwide reach.
All right, so right there, we plan on investigating a number of options or solutions, right? So just because they talk about having a sole provider at the very beginning does not mean that everything is locked and loaded. Now, what it does mean is that people that want to get ahead of the curve have the ability to jump into what they think it will be today. But, based on the amount of research that they have been doing over the years, where the market is right now, the competition that's coming in with Walmart and Facebook, I'm still really bullish on XRP and Ripple as a company. I think they're well positioned. And in addition to that, I also think that a lot of things have already been put in motion, and the rails are laid. I know they say, oh, we're looking at a lot of different perspectives and opportunities. I personally don't. I don't think so, but the competition is out there, and nobody wants to use something that they realize is not going to stand the test of time. The Fed is looking for something that is going to last for the next 40 years. Ripple as a company is 10 years old, right? 2014, not even 10 years old. So, you know, to put all your money and all your trust in a company that is so young is really hard, especially when you have larger banks, larger organizations in the United States that are saying, "Hey, we've been here for hundreds of years. Why are you trusting that group over there? Let us do it." And I think the thing that the Fed is thinking about in this way, or at this point, is the fact that some of these people that have been there for a really long time haven't done anything to move the ball along. They weren't the first ones to come forward and say, "Hey, this is a necessary change that we need to make." And on top of that, for marginalized people who aren't taking home the big paychecks, they aren't on a mission to go and help them take more money home faster, right? Um, Oftentimes when you go into higher end communities, you will find that there are more banks, more locations to take money out. You go into a lower end community and the banks are smaller, right? So there's definitely an interest in continuing to serve customers that have a higher amount of money, and therefore have a higher amount of money to spend on banking fees. So let's see. Good morning, Danny. Welcome. So happy you made it. Um, so Anthony Jackson says, Lionel, what do you think about a company integrating BTC? That's a good question. I don't have a question. Exterminator after Sifu was there. I don't know what happened to him yesterday, by the way. Like, does anybody understand? He left and then came back. Like, it was crazy, and I didn't see anything that would have driven him off. Lionel asked, George, what does U.S. not having instant settlement locally? We have it in Europe. We've had it for Europe in years. Yeah, you guys have also had a lot of other things in Europe for years. We're moving slower, and I think one of the things that really plays a role in this has to do with the fact that we're talking about one big country instead of a lot of small countries that have to try and find a way to send money from one country to another very quickly, safely. We're in one big country. Banks want you to just deal with us. Oh, you want to work outside the region, sorry, but we can send it for you, right? We can do a wire for you, and there's big money in that. $25 to send a wire transfer. Come on, why not? Additionally, you've also got these big banks that are lobbying to the government for their own personal interest. Now, the interests of the bank don't necessarily align with the interests of the consumer, and this is true as we look at the rollback of some of the banking regulation over the last 2 years that reduce, the rules that were put in place to try and ensure more customer protections. So I don't think that is necessarily something that ties back specifically to an administration. I think it ties back to who has the most money in Washington and can really help push specific interests forward. All right. RTV says she mentioned me first, AJ. Haha. Good morning, Flora. Awesome to have you here. We're talking about the Fed Faster Payments Task Force rollout. They had a meeting yesterday, which I think was really, really awesome. Anthony Jackson says, no, I meant at your house. You have to get an exterminator in after he was there. I would send him the bill. Yeah. No, whatever. You are so horrible. Actually, I am surprised. And the most interesting thing about me meeting this exterminator is I ran into a bug, right? I actually ran into two. And marched myself down to the main office and I was like, yeah, so this is what's going on. I'm over in the corner whispering with dude about this. And, I am one of those people that reads the terms and conditions. And he's like, yeah, don't worry about it. We have them come out. They're regularly sweeping apartments. They've been in your apartment. And I'm like, oh, you mean they've been in my apartment when I'm not there? And he's like, yeah. They generally go from one area of the complex to another and just, pop into people's apartments. And I'm like, bitches, they have not been in my apartment because after they come, I can't wait to come down here and remind you about the letter that's supposed to be on my door before you enter my apartment, 24 hours in advance minimum. But please send the nice man who's going to get rid of the bugs. Please send him. Then we will have that conversation about tenant rights. So, anyways, off of that soapbox. So, Flora, yes, I am totally willing to explain that to you. I talked about it at a little bit more depth, and for others in the community that have been asking me this question, I actually have a video, but I haven't created the video, but I have the outline about for the video ready. So XRP is a digital asset. You've probably heard of Bitcoin. It's the most popular, and it was the first one created. XRP is a digital asset or a cryptocurrency that was created to help for peer-to-peer, so P2P is how we refer to that, money transfer. But what you do is you put your money in on one side, you buy XRP, and then you can transfer that XRP in seconds anywhere in the world to anybody else that has an XRP wallet. Ripple is the company that has been pushing the Ripple, really pushing banks and governments to consider using Ripple in their payment flows. So I have a much more informative video coming about that. The thing that most people don't realize about Bitcoin is that the cost for sending a transaction on the Bitcoin network changes based on how much traffic, how many transactions there are to be processed. And based on that, you could have to spend up to $30 just to send your Bitcoin transaction. And if you're buying a coffee, that just doesn't make sense. Whereas with XRP, the fees are set. It happens in second. With Bitcoin, it can take days, right? And when we had the massive uprun in Bitcoin in late 2017, people were waiting for their transactions to be settled days. After you post a transaction, it sits, trying to pull it back and say, oh, I'm canceling this transaction, doesn't work. So I'm going to put something, sorry, sorry for swearing, sorry. Yeah, I'm going to put together a video tonight and put that out there because I've been getting that question a lot from you guys, and I really appreciate you coming in and supporting my stream. I love learning it and growing from you. My girl Flora she is an amazing content producer here on YouTube, and the way that we connected is we attend a group, these different sessions where we learn about how to do YouTube better, and we connected there. So I've been stalking her on her YouTube channel. She creates these great videos about her journey in her relationship with her husband. Yesterday I was watching one about her telling, her telling her dad that she is getting married, or introducing, her then boyfriend to her father, and the quizzing. It is so cute. It was, oh my goodness, it just made my heart melt because that is not the way things go here in the United States most times. So awesome. So let's take a look at so if you haven't, check out Flora's channel. She is such a sweetheart, and girl, you are going to go far. She has a secret plan to take over the world. She's awesome. So, all right, what else? Flora asked Dutchy how he's doing today. I think he's doing good. Yes, and all right, what else do we have here? So RTV asked Danny, she has a full production team, including her hairdresser and makeup artist. I mean, the only way, right, for her to look that good in the AM. My goodness, you guys. I have been They need to deal with my house. They need to get this solved. I am so frustrated. I do not need visitors. If I wanted visitors, I'd go find them. I would invite you guys to my house. But no, 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 no. I have unwelcome visitors. And yeah, they need to come deal with it. So everything in my house is moved out from the wall. I've got my emergency, squirrel bag, water, and food all moved out. And I've been dealing with this since early morning. I Usually at this time I am fully dressed for work and I like consistency. So I have a top on, but I am straight up wearing shorts down here, right? And my hair is still up. I still have not fully finished my hair. So yes, thank you so much RTV for that compliment. But yes, I appreciate it. LW says, see PayPal drop fees to $1.99 in policy update. Ooh, that's very interesting. I did not see that. Blessings, welcome. So happy you're here. Gaming crypto, nice job. Sincerely, George. Awesome. I hope that you guys found this interesting, and I really want to inspire you to go out and watch this this presentation that was done. And I'm going to put a link into this video so that you guys have quick access to it. David D says, good morning, George. Good morning, man who knows his stuff. And hello to Anthony Jackson as well. Hopefully we can find more facts based on commentary in the XRP community after yesterday's Fed meeting. Adjust to those time horizons and root out speculation. Yeah, I'm hoping so too. We really talked about, I think, the key pieces in this presentation that speak to the fact that they are working with one sole, one sole private sector company or one sole private sector organization. And they mentioned that specific phrase a couple of different times, very mindful not to mention anybody and not to allude to exactly what kind of organization that was. So hoping to get through the speculation as well, but I'm still very bullish on XRP. And okay, who else? Yes, Flora, blessings. You guys should both connect. And David, yes, I agree. Anthony Jackson says, David, I agree. The Moonies and tinfoil hatters went a bit crazy yesterday. Ooh, I got mine, guys. I got mine. It's a little bit battle worn. It's not prepared. Golly. But if you did not see my video on how to create your own tinfoil hat, I don't even know what this looks like right now. But yes, see, even with my hair, I can strap this on and I'm ready to run. At this point, only my hair would be protected, but I am ready to go, people. And you can decorate it. See, I always have the flower ready, just in case. You can decorate on the fly. Yes, it's a great moment. And yeah, I don't even know what this looks like. I hope it looks okay. Oh, goodness. 'Cause it's all about the fashion. Yeah, see, look at that. I just look amazing. Hello. Hi, big boy. Do you think we should get together and have a conversation? All right, see, and the sturdy hat, if you do the inside right, the flower will stick on the outside. All right, everybody, that is the end of today's show. If you guys have not checked out my video to help all of you stay protected, please check out how to make your own tinfoil hat, fashionable tinfoil hat, because I teach it there. And because I was getting a lot of comments on Reddit about, the best construction for your tinfoil hat, definitely check out the questions answered video that I also created. The reviews have been amazing. I'm so happy to be connecting with my community. So on that note, before we change topics too much, I am going to let you go. Something clever. Thank you so much for tuning in. You need to go back and hear what we were talking about in regards to the faster payments. The hell is Earth? I know it covered my hair. It fits properly. You have to make sure it fits. Yes, and please send me pictures when you do, right? I think there's going to be some videos of me walking the street in a couple of these hats. I have been shopping and building. All right. I am going to let you go. I need to finish getting ready for work. My day is already crazy. I love you all. Mwah, 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 mwah. Hope you'll join me tomorrow where we will talk about something else, but we might also talk about the Fed if we get more news today. And with that, people, I am almost ready to say over and out, right? Okay, I'm ready. I got mouse in position over what I need. So with that, I am over and out. Have an amazing day and play safe out there on crypto Twitter. Bye.